For me, I do suffer from PTSD. At first, it's hard because you don't want to go and talk to a therapist because I'm like, basically, they just want to give you medicine. I don't want to take medicine. I want to know why I feel the way I feel because suffering from that, I became numb. Like, nothing could faze me after coming back from a deployment. It's like this female who was so outgoing, a social butterfly, you come back and it's like, nothing fazed you.
I swear the line was round the corner when she walked right in. High heels, short dress, he should have known right then. He walked over like, you the shorty I should be rocking. She told him, baby, I'm a job, you need to get clocked in. She next level, eyes full of pride, she won't settle. No brakes, so she hit the road, foot to the pedal. No days off, I mean, that's often offensive. She like the ball, like the park with the fences. Yeah, so her lifestyle get awfully expensive. She might dismiss it, but it's hard to resist her, cause she's a boss.
So life after football has been challenging, to say the least. How about for any of you guys? I know you're coming in after Ocho has already retired.
Right.
So you've kind of been in that transition, or actually you skipped over the transition.
Right.
But for you guys, I'm new to it, and it has been...
Okay, well, tell me why you say it's challenging first.
Well, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Brandon is probably one of the hardest working people I've ever met. But I see him less now than I did when he played football. Yeah. And I know y'all know, you see them very little when they play football. So you can only imagine how I see him now.
That's interesting, yeah. How are you navigating that?
Well, I would say it's extremely challenging. A lot of things piss me off, and I am very proud of who he is becoming, who he was in football, who he's becoming now outside of football. But I will say that work-life balance aspect for him is very different from what that looks like for me. And I don't think there is much of a balance at all. We have 3 kids. I have an almost 2-year-old. And to, you know, be home all the time with your kids, and I have help, but I'm still mom at the end of the day. Right. Everything runs through me. And to be honest, the help that I do have is an appendage of my other arm that I need to take care of my 3 kids. Yeah. We're side by side all day. So to have him working all the time around the clock, it puts a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on me, undue pressure and stress. Yeah. It's really hard for me to do anything that I want to do. Yeah. Because I'm still in the game. Like, I'm still supporting his ambition and his dreams. And it's difficult for me to have the time that I need to do something for myself.
Do you think eventually it will cause confusion between you guys? Like, have you guys sat down and say, hey, let's put some time, okay, work, but let's set aside some time for us?
We've said it.
But actually implement
it. He said it on the show. We'll have the guys ask him on the show next.
Yeah. I think it's very important that work is great, but if you don't have that you time, you got to have that you guys time.
Absolutely.
If not, it's going to cause.
It is
like a volcano is eventually going to erupt.
Yeah. I think that's definitely an area that needs a lot of work. I'm sure he would say a little work.
So do you think he is, filling up all his time with work because he doesn't have football anymore? Like, is it something that maybe, there's a lack now, like they've done football for their whole life and now I need to fill that time and that space up with something, so.
I think that has something to do with it, but I think that he is so much more than football, that now he has the opportunity to be more than football. And I think that it is exciting and it's challenging and it's a new thing to conquer. And I think that has more to do with it than
missing football.
I think it's like, I can finally be.
And then so it's hard on you because you don't want to, stop that.
I don't want to stifle it at all. But at the same time, I'm like, where are you? Like, where are you? You know?
So what I did was, I know me and Chad, we're fresh in a relationship, but I'm all about like us having our time. So he works a lot. I mean, he's gone every week during the football season. I asked him, I was like, okay, when is your break, like your downtime? He told me the time frame, and I booked us a trip. And it's just like sometimes you just gotta, hey, this is what we're doing. You need to put it on your calendar.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that, I mean, Brandon and I have been married for, this is our 11th year.
Right.
So like, we've tried to weave those things in here and there, and this is our first, I guess this is our second full year out of the NFL. So, I mean, I had a newborn that I'm breastfeeding, and I'm trying to keep alive, you know, and my husband's building a company, a startup. So you could not have, and then there's COVID. Like, talk about the perfect storm, a new baby, a pandemic, and then transitioning for the first year out of the NFL. Okay, like all these things in combination. Like, you talk about volcano.
Right. But after every storm, there's sunshine, so.
Yeah, I think we all have to go through some, like, in the life after football, there's some kind of time and transition where it's a struggle. I would say we're in like our third year since Phil, I don't think he's officially retired though, I don't know. I guess he's waiting on somebody to call him. Still, I don't know how that works, I just mind my business. But yeah, this is our third year, and he's, you know, doing the same things, trying to, you know, find his way as a businessman and, you know, starting up his businesses and stuff. And, you know, it's inspiring to see, but at the same time, I feel like I'm like, you know, I got the kids at home, and, you know, there's things that I want to do. Like I said, I got my real estate license, and I need to be out doing real estate stuff. And he's like, well, can't you do that from home? And I'm like,
why would I want to?
Yeah, like, no.
So Brandon says to me all the time, you need to do things for you. Like, go do something for and I'm like, how? Right. You're not home.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
How am I supposed to take time for me? I don't want my kids with a babysitter.
And I feel like that part of it for women is not fair, because automatically the burden of the children is on you. Like, you got to figure out, you know, like, you got to figure it out, like, what you going to do. But if they want to go and start a business real quick, it's fine. Like, you can just go up and do that. But we have to sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to be away from the kids. I got to figure out what to do with them. Who's going to cook dinner?
What appointments they have? Exactly. Who's going to fill in this time?
Yeah, like, so it's like they don't have that burden. It's like they're free to just be creative, and, you know, whatever dreams and aspirations that they've been wanting to do, you know, they get to just up and do it, where I'm like, well, I could go and do those things, and yeah, he would be supportive, but
is it really supportive if you're not there? You know what I mean? Like, I was supportive to you in the NFL.
Yeah, like, he's like, go do it.
Because I was home and I was taking care of the kids, and if we got traded, I picked up 72 hours. Yeah. Then 72 hours, you had to be at your location. So who packed up the house, who packed up the kids, who changed schools, who found a pediatrician, found a grocery store, you know, who found the things that we needed to do for our household, and I, at a drop of a dime, you know, and that was the decision that I made, being a wife of someone who played in the NFL. But that's how I supported you. And then on the flip side,
so now, do you feel like, now that he's done with football, that maybe he should take a step back and support you?
Yeah, and it's more than just saying like, oh yeah, sure, I support you. Go do whatever you want to do.
When is it our season? Like,
it's when you make it. So sometimes I feel
it's very easy to say and hard to do.
It's easy to say, but you have to do it. Right. Yeah. I'm listening to you ladies, but like for me, I mean, I was married before, and it's kind of the same. I mean, relocating, changing duty stations, and at some point I got tired of like just me sitting back and watch him fulfill his dreams. I'm just gonna be Superwoman and do it. Okay, if I need help, I'm gonna call. I have a supportive system. You have to be selfish sometimes and not worry about what other people say or do.
It's so hard.
It's hard, but you have to have I know it's hard, especially with young
gotta
kids.
have the balls
or
to do
whatever.
it.
You have to have
You
the
know?
balls to do it, and you have to put your trust, like, okay, my kids are gonna be okay. You gotta look at the bigger picture, because right now it may, like, I feel shitty because I'm leaving my newborn kids. No, you have to look at the bigger picture.
Like, I went on one trip with one of my girlfriends, my best friend, because I was like, this is a lot, you know? And I was pumping in the hotel in Vegas on my pump schedule and shipping the milk home via Milk Stork or something like that for my son. So when I got back home after 72, the trip was 72 hours. Like I live in Florida. I flew to Vegas. Like I basically like woke up, saw her, ate, and like came home, you know? And I'm pumping.
We keep the responsibility. I feel like
And
we,
you just,
no
it's
matter
just, you can't leave
what
it,
we
you
do,
can't. I'm a mom. I can't.
And you still can
It's
be a
so
mom and
hard.
still be selfish,
And
too.
feel so
You just-
guilty, but the guilt, you
can't.
carry the guilt.
Right,
I
you
carry
can't.
the guilt.
You can't. You have. If you want to, you just have to do it.
Well, I have to disagree with that though, because I feel like, you know, a part of who we are and our happiness is, you know, tied into being a mother. So I would feel less than if I wasn't pumping on this Vegas trip.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, there's a season for that though, when you do have to finally say, like, I really need to put me first. Like, I'm kind of going through that now with just like nutrition and eating better and working out. I keep putting it off, like we've joked about it, playing a little tennis and trying to stay in shape. And that used to be what I do and what I loved. And now I'm just putting it aside day after day, week after week. And now I look up and, you know, what Chaz is like 7 months. The 7 months has gone by and I haven't done anything for myself. And I start to like prioritize, and I feel like I'm just kind of slowly falling down.
But I think if what you can do is take it step by step, like one little thing at a time. You know, you don't have to be like, okay, you know what? On this day, I'm start my own business. It could be little things, you know, like it got to a point where I was like, look, no, I'm going to go work out at this time every day. You got to figure it out. Like, make it work for your schedule. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it is that's important to you that you need for yourself, like you said, be selfish and make it happen. You know what I mean? And it could be little things. Just start with little things until you get more comfortable to the bigger things.
I do. Like, I have a day, like, because it got to the point where it was so difficult even doing, like, the bare minimal things that I needed to do, like getting my hair done and getting my nails done. Like, I do it at the time where my kids are sleeping. They're taking a nap, and then I'm home by the time they wake up. So they don't know that I disappeared, you know? And my older kids, I have twins, they're 6 years old. They know now because they're not taking naps, but that was that was a time where I got everything done. So I never missed a beat when I was home for my kids. Now I'm like, look, on Friday, you're not gonna see me. You're just not gonna see me. I don't know what I'm doing or where I'm going.
When your kids are younger, I think it's just a little harder to, you know, be selfish. Like it just is, you know, when your kids are younger.
But eventually you have to take care of you, because if you're not taken care of, the household won't be taken care of. So.
Right, I agree, yeah.
It's an ongoing struggle. I think it's something that we're gonna have to just navigate through. So I was just wondering how you guys kind of
No, I'm struggling in the same way, girl. Some days be good and some days it don't be good. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah. That's marriage, that's motherhood. Yeah. I mean, you know, you just take it day by day. Yeah. You know?
Okay, so I'm 9 months pregnant. And my delivery date is 2 weeks out. And my husband was not home. He was normally not really home. And so I'm kind of sleeping in a separate room because I am more comfortable, and he wasn't waking me up first thing in the morning because he's off to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and I can't go back to sleep because I'm a crazy person, you know? So I'm in the room and I think my water breaks. I'm like, okay. So I get up, turn on the light, and it literally looks like a massacre in my house. Like, I mean, like bright red blood from here to as far as you can see where I was walking. And so we have white marble floors, and so you see everything. And my husband's all the way on the other side of the house, and he had just gotten home late that night, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So I call him because all this goes through my head, and I'm like, am I gonna slip on the floor if I walk? Can I feel the baby? So like all this stuff is going, I call him, long story short, get to the hospital. And he calls ahead of time because he didn't know that this wasn't normal. I knew it wasn't normal, but I didn't want to freak him out. So I'm trying not to panic. We get to the hospital, and the hospital makes me wait in the room before I saw a doctor. I'm telling them, they're like, here, ma'am, pee in a cup, you know. They're like, are you okay? Are you having contractions? I'm like, no, I don't think so. And the nurse is Black. And she's just like, oh, you would know if you're having contractions. And I was like, well, I have a high tolerance for pain, so I really don't know. She's like, oh, this is your first. You're so cute. And I'm like, no, I had a C-section of twins, but no. She's like, okay. 3.5 hours later, as I'm bleeding the whole time, Brandon finally says, or not finally, like he was going along with me. Like, okay, she's calm, so I'm gonna be calm. And he keeps looking like, she's calm, I'm gonna be calm. She's calm, I'm gonna be calm. And then he was just like, I can't be calm anymore. Like, where the F is the doctor? Like, where's the doctor and how come nobody has checked her? Like, I literally said, I can't pee in the cup, it's going to be blood.
Right.
Like, I'm bleeding profusely. Nobody ever checked. 3.5 hours later, turns out I had a partial placenta abruption, which I just very simply could have bled out if it was a full placenta abruption. Thank God it was partial, but to be sitting there bleeding for 3 hours, and Brandon saw the babies.
And to be at the hospital too.
I was
like
at the
you're
hospital.
where you need to be,
I was
and
at the
they're
hospital,
just not
and
getting it.
they did not check me, see me, talk to me, nothing. They just let me lay there. So I absolutely was within. I could have literally just died on the table.
And what
just
was
there.
their reasoning for not seeing you?
They had no reason. There was no reason for it. I believe wholeheartedly that I had postpartum after that, because every day I looked at my child and I was like, and I'm sorry if I'm gonna get emotional, but every day I looked at my child and I was like, I almost never saw your face. Yeah, that's good. You know, and so like after having him and those trying to like figure out what I was doing for myself, I felt so guilty doing anything, because like I have this little baby that almost didn't make it. But the problem that I have with that is that this Black Lives Matter and all the racial injustice that we're seeing and all of the opinions, but the healthcare system in America does not give two shits about Black mothers, does not care about Black women.
And something about our pain doesn't translate.
They don't.
So when we say we're in pain, even if we say it's a 10, something about it, it's like we're just expected to be so strong. Yeah. And that's just been like a blanket marketing, I feel like for the longest time, like just Black women are so strong. Yeah. And we're expected to hold this burden of strength. Yeah. And for that reason, I've only had Black OBGYNs. Yeah. You know, because I feel like we're here.
I remember you called me and asked me, and I was like, this was my situation, so do what's best for you, but this is what I dealt with. And it's not like, they didn't look at me and say, oh, that's an NFL wife, let me take great care of her.
Do you think that they stereotype before they even check the insurance or whatever, oh, a typical another Black female coming in here on Medicaid, whatever it is, we'll get them when we get them? Yep. Because I feel like I haven't had that situation happen to me. I don't know, maybe because all my kids were delivered at military hospitals, so the treatment wasn't like that. It's like boom, 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 we're getting them in, and the service was good. I never dealt with it, but I do feel like sometimes because of the type of insurance, or they stereotype you based off of your color. You
know, in America, a Black woman is 3 to 4 times more likely to die in the healthcare system by no medical cause than any other race.
Wow. Yes, the statistics are too
They're
high.
Astronomical. There's absolutely no reason for it. They just watch you die.
one of my close friends, she's an OBGYN, and she basically documented this doctor, how they basically treated her because she was a black female. It's crazy. I didn't know it was that bad. But even her being a doctor, because she was black, she was being treated like crap.
Wow.
And wasn't that the story where she was at like her hospital?
Yeah, and she was video recording.
And they said that she was, they felt intimidated, like by her knowledge or something like that.
Of course they're intimidated.
The story was something like they made it her fault. The narrative was like she came on too strong. And it's like, what do you want us to be? Now you want us to be strong, but then we too strong. And, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. So it's really unfortunate.
Were you nervous when Channing got COVID? And like how, because I mean, African Americans are more likely to die from COVID too. And I mean, that doesn't have to do directly with the healthcare system.
Right. And I think where I had my breakdown at was the symptoms I was feeling and like the back pains. I've never had body aches. You know. Horrible. Yeah.
You've had it too?
My whole back was hurting, and I was talking to Dr. Tello about the kids, about little Channing having COVID and what his symptoms were, and then she asked me about me. She just happened to ask me about me, and I appreciate that she did that, because once I told her that I was having these like acute back pains that I'd never had before, she was like, well, you should go to the ER and get that checked out.
And again, you're concerned about everybody else and not yourself.
Yep. That mother hat, it like never comes off. No. It's like them first, and once she said that, I was like, whoa, I probably should. When I was packing my bag to go to the ER, I broke down. Like, I had to, you know, my grandmother passed away earlier this year, right when COVID hit. I took down my little picture of me and her together, and I just put it in my bag, and I just said a prayer, like, Lord, please keep me, because I want to come back. Yeah. Like, you know, I saw a story about there were cars left in the hospital parking lot, and they didn't understand why, you know, who are these cars? They're trying to tow the cars. And it ended up being patients from COVID that had passed away, and their families, no one came and claimed the cars. Wow. And so, you know, this thought of experiencing my grandmother passing right when COVID hit, that same week we could no longer visit her, and I knew what that felt like. I couldn't go see her until, well, I begged to go in, and they let me go in, but like there was a whole 2-week period in the last like month of her life, and that's my roadie, like that's my best friend. It's crazy to say, but like we're so close. Yeah. And I just couldn't visit her at all, and I see her, and then the next time I see her, she's gone. It's such a lonely sickness and death where your family can't be there. And even having Chaz, because Chaz is 6 months old now. We had him in COVID. No one could come visit us. It was just Channing and I in the hospital. So
but Chaz never got it.
No, Chaz never got it, thank God. But just this whole process, it's such a lonely, unnecessary disease. And don't get me started on that, because I feel like, you know, our nation has really fumbled how they've taken care of it and treated it, and then you see our community, and we're, of course, you know, disproportionately affected by it. And it's like, I feel like we just can't even win, even in the midst of a pandemic. It's still affecting us, you know, at crazy rates. But
how has it been? So, because you guys, I mean, you know, I deal a lot in mental health. Has there been any mental health related issues or anything that you've had to deal with?
Well, I didn't have to go overseas at all, so I didn't have, thank God. I didn't have any, you know, issues with that at all. But I do know that there needs to be more for, you know, soldiers who have gone. I hear so many stories about how, you know, the VA has failed to take care of, you know, our soldiers, you know, once they're back. I mean, I hear good stories too. Yeah. But I hear a lot of stories that aren't so good, and I mean, even like some of my family members who have served, you know, they've been out for a long time, they've been retired for a long time, still fighting for their, you know, disability, and I mean, that's just ridiculous to me. Yeah, you know,
it's so sad. Like these people have. My grandfather is one. He served served, 12 years, and because he didn't have the records, it's hard for them to, oh, it wasn't war related or it wasn't military related, so we're not gonna pay you for any of that. For me, I do suffer from PTSD. Just being deployed, at first it's hard because you don't want to go and talk to a therapist. For the longest, it was hard for me to go and talk to a therapist because I'm like, basically, they just want to give you medicine. I don't want to take medicine. I want to know why I feel the way I feel, because suffering from that, I became numb. Like, nothing could faze me after coming back from a deployment. It's like this female who was so outgoing, a social butterfly, you come back and it's like, nothing fazes you. It's crazy. And you want to give me medicine? No, find out what it is. Find out, let's figure it out. Let's get to the bottom. I don't want to take medicine because that's the temporary fix. I don't want the temporary fix. So for the longest, it did take me to even open up. Like one time I broke down and I cursed my therapist out because I told her, you don't know what I've been through. Like, this is my life. How are you going to tell me about my life? And it really helped. I ended up going to an outpatient program and just sitting in a group with other people who experienced the same thing that you experienced and talking about it. And then having a therapist come who went through what you went through and giving you better coping skills to deal with what you deal with. No, it's not going to fix the PTSD, but it helps me. So, I mean, it took a while. Like she said, the VA, they just give you medicine. Some doctors in the military just give you medicine, that temporary fix.
And that doesn't solve, it may solve some mental illness, but it definitely doesn't solve all. And studies show that, you know, the highest success rate is if medication is needed, it's therapy and not one or the other. You know. But that's a whole nother topic to discuss because in America, like the counseling, therapy, mental health, all of these things are so taboo. And with the state of the world and what it's in, coronavirus, and all of these things are going on and nobody talks about mental health. Like I see a therapist.
People are embarrassed of it. They're embarrassed to go. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I don't understand why
I
either.
hate that is a thing, like to be embarrassed, to want to improve your life and want to, you know, whatever, for lack of better words, you know, things that are going on in your mind, demons that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
I was that person at a point. I felt like I didn't need it. Like I was good until it took my kids to tell me, Mom, you changed. You're not the same person. You're mean. You always have an attitude. You have road rage. Like for me to really realize and open up, like maybe I do. What's the worst that can happen? But I was that person that I'm not going to mental health. I'm not crazy. It's for crazy people. That's what
Why do you think that is though? Is that something in like your upbringing? Was that just something that?
It was something that growing up in a black household, you wasn't used to. Our parents didn't go to counseling. My mom was a victim of domestic violence. Like
so was my mom.
She didn't go get help. My grandparents didn't get help. We didn't know about a therapist growing up. So it was only until I came into the military that I knew about all these things. And I mean, it took my kids to tell me, Mom, you changed, for me to go get help. So
that's amazing.
It's just the unknown.
Yeah. Well, it's the complete opposite for me because my mom, as I said, she has a PhD in clinical psychology. So talking was at the forefront of everything in my home. There's like, psychology was a part of every conversation.
Even communication, it was hard for me to open up. And that too, growing up in black households. It's a one-way conversation. I speak, you talk, you better execute.
Speak when spoken to.
Exactly. You can't open up. And that's another thing that I changed in my household. Yeah. Now I sit down with my kids and tell me how you feel. Yeah. Be respectful, but tell me how you feel. Communicate with me because I don't want you growing up not knowing how to communicate as an adult.
That's one of the main things that I focus on as a parent is my children's emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. I always said, like, I feel like they're gonna get arithmetic no matter what. Like, you will learn your ABCs, you will learn how to read and write, you're gonna know 2 + 2 = 4, but will you be taught how to stand up for yourself and communicate when something hurts your feelings? Mm-hmm. Right. How to talk to an adult who is your superior and let them know that this happened to me today and it hurt me. how to talk and communicate with your sister. Why are you crying? Like all of these things that it is taught. It is taught. It's not just
You don't just
a
get
behavior
that,
that just shows up inside of you. It has to be facilitated and nurtured and cultivated and brought to the forefront. And they have to know that their feelings and their words matter at 2, at 3, at 4, at 24, at 48, whatever the age is. Your words mean something. And I don't understand why America does not know that that is necessary. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. But I think that this generation, our generation, we're able to talk about it, we're able to bring topics to the forefront, we're able to discuss things that matter, you know, and even like parenting with our kids, you know, like being able to talk about that. And to say, my kids brought it to the table. I know a lot of people who would never be that vulnerable and say, no, my babies pointed this out to me.
I love that. And just letting them know that their feelings are valid. And Channing and I were talking about it one day because I said to him, you know, you were kind of a little rough there, you know. And I said, you should go apologize. He was like, what I'm gonna say sorry for? I'm the daddy. What I'm gonna say sorry for? I was like, well, sometimes they need to hear from you and see from us that, you know, we're human, we're not perfect. I tell my kids that all the time, like, oh, you know, sorry, mommy was rushing. I had a phone call coming in and this and this and that. You know, sorry, mommy was rushing. What did you say? That was on me, you know, my bad, you know. So just so they know that, you know, we can apologize too. We're not always right. I think that's important.
Did he apologize?
He did.
Oh,
He was like, well, mama said that I had to be sorry, so
Mama said.
my bad. You know, I'm like,
That's
well,
so
you know,
funny.
at least she did it.
Right.
That's so good. Well, with parenting, like, so, because similar situation has happened and happens in our home all the time, you know, and we just have difference of opinion with things, you know. I mean, something simple as, you know, my son wearing shoes. Like, Brandon does not want him to wear shoes. I'm like, you don't put my child in some damn shoes. Like, look, he wants the shoes, put him in shoes. And he's like, no, he needs to feel everything under his feet and whatever. And I'm just like, okay, I just want him to wear shoes. Like, that's it. That's all I'm asking. He has his reasons, I have mine. But how do you guys deal with
The back and forth.
the back and forth? And I mean, it's because you have a daughter.
Right.
You know, and has Ocho, like, has he met her? They got a great relationship and everything. Like, I mean, I'm sure you met her, but you got a great relationship and everything. But I mean, is that something that you guys, is that an issue that could potentially come to the surface for you? Or is that an issue for you guys, or like?
Yeah, it's
Butt
big
heads.
in my house right now, I would
We butt
say.
heads.
I think
Yeah.
when they're younger, it's more of butting heads. But once they become teenagers, it's
I think for me, like after, like you were saying, the whole transition after football, that was a big transition for us with parenting because, you know, I'm used to him doing football.
Right.
I'm doing home and I'm, you know, I got a
Routine and a schedule.
And, you know, and I knew that, you know, of course, when he comes home that my routine was going to have to change. So I tried to prepare myself as best I could. Like, okay, I'm going to let him do his thing. But I didn't know I was gonna have to let him do his thing. Like I really had to let him. I didn't know what kind of parent he was gonna be. I knew he was gonna be a great dad. Let me just start with that. I knew I wouldn't have kids with him if I didn't think he was gonna be an awesome dad. I didn't know how awesome he was gonna be.
Phil goes hard. Phil is involved.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Listen.
I be seeing the videos.
Phil takes being a father to the next level. So, you know, I'm thinking I'm doing my thing. I got this routine, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let him do his thing. That's real cute. Like, okay, do your thing, boo. But no, he completely has taken
Like
over.
what, though? I need to know.
Okay.
Like, give me an example.
Everything. He's just very particular about everything from their diet to what they wear, the material of their clothing, what goes on their skin and in their hair, like everything, Michi, everything. He's very like particular.
I thought I had it bad because Brandon does the same. He like was not in the home and then in the home, and then he's just, and then so then there's things that he noticed that he didn't want or doesn't really like. I do, and I'm like, but you weren't here. So this is the way that I do it, and it works for me.
Yeah, it goes beyond.
Channing will have them kids in the same outfit every day. They will be country bumpkin, and them kids is gonna be all right.
Yes.
Them kids are gonna be all
Building
right.
a stronger
It's so
immune
funny,
system.
like the different dynamics here.
No, but Brandon's the same. Don't get me wrong. He like I'll be like, he'll leave the house. They don't match. Their hair is not done. And like, I'm their mother, and I'm like, I gotta do their hair. He's like, they're good. And
Now, I'm not saying that he make like they look the best, but you know,
He cares about the nuances.
yeah, like
Still
he's
cares.
very particular. So it might, you know, I had to really step back. That's the only way we can do it together, is if I don't do it, I guess. Because like I really have to just let him take over when it comes to a lot of the parenting stuff, because if I don't, then we are butting heads. And I would rather butt heads about other stuff. You know what I mean? I would rather
Pick your
let him
battles.
be.
You gotta pick your
Yeah, exactly.
If that's important to you, like you got it. You
yeah,
got it.
so I just let him be an awesome dad, and you know, I try to get in there when I can, you know. But
sometimes I can't. Like I'm such a type A sometimes that I'm just like oh, they got a bedtime. Like
I am too, but I
the
can't.
kids
I really
to
have
So
sleep.
that's why I feel like you gotta know your spouse, because you know, like some things it's just I'll let you have it, and then some things like you know that this is me. You know, what are your strengths and weaknesses, and what are my strengths and weaknesses? Let's put this thing together and figure out how we can have synergy.
But it was
with
hard though, because it was just me doing everything while he was playing, you know? And so that for me was the big adjustment after football.
How do y'all deal with the transitions? Because like that's a transition that happens in the relationship. And you know, I know we were talking about mental health before. I remember our transition was the 2 kids, under 2, him retiring, now being home, and then being in a weird place in his career because he wanted to go but didn't want to go. Now he's a father, so I think he felt that dad guilt, not wanting to now go for another team. Like he was really making me a part of his decision, where if he would have asked me, because at that time I don't think we were communicating the best, but if he would have asked me, I would have said, I'm down for the ride. Like, you know, I feel like I can do this. But you know, like his whole career had been with the Dolphins, and I'm from Miami, so he felt like, no, like now we're starting a family. Like I want to, you know, set roots here now. But I feel like I had a little postpartum, and the sleep deprivation and the breastfeeding, and then him changing, and that's when we decided, let's go get some counseling. Let's go get some marriage counseling. We hadn't done premarital counseling before. But at that point, I felt like, you know, Lord, take the wheel.
Yes, Jesus, take the wheel.
Right, in this marriage, like just take me now, because I want to stay married. You know, I want to make this work. But how can we get past this wall that we're experiencing, and we not getting freaky no more? I'm like, what? You know,
now y'all doing the here kitty kitty.
right,
So
right. Look, now we bounce back. Girl, we
Asia.
bounce back.
look, you gonna have to teach us.
What's the name of the counselor? What's the name
Right.
of the counselor?
No, he was so good. He was a Jamaican Christian counselor. He brought the Bible into what we were
Can I
experiencing.
say, is his name Kingsley?
Yes.
I think I went to him too.
Wait, did I send him to you?
Well, no, maybe Dr.
Yes.
Tello. Maybe Dr. Tello said, was it you?
I think maybe.
Look,
We done went to the same, not that he
Tuesday. That's my Tuesday date night. Okay, Kingsley.
No, he was. I loved
Kingsley.
Kingsley changed the game. Yeah. Listen, he brought us together, and from that point on, because neither of our parents had stayed married, and we didn't have that example. I did. I had my grandparents, but by the time I was born, they were 75. So they were a whole different generation. But from that point, it's like solution driven. Yeah. If we're not looking for the solution, if we just bickering, that's nonsense. Like, we have to find whatever the solutions are for us. Yeah. So, you know, I remember in the beginning, I used to, you know, kind of be a little petty. Like, you know, I want you to feel my wrath. I'm upset. I want you to feel it. But no, that's
the knife in and turn
right.
it.
Yeah, but that's not it. That's not it.
Gotta measure.
I remember you gave me a book. And I read it and I was using it, you know, because it was like God's love. It was a really sweet book. And I thought, you know, especially during that time, sleep deprived, like you don't understand how I'm feeling. My body feels crazy. I'm breastfeeding. My energy is low. Like I am just out of it.
Everything. You're like a living, like you're a zombie. Like
I'm
by
looking in the
every
mirror,
sense of the word.
And I'm like, who am I? Even when I'm looking in the mirror in the process, you know? So it's just like I had to kind of get back in touch with me, get back in touch with him, and then be honest about where I am. Like I need help. I'm overwhelmed.
So how did you overcome your postpartum? Was it the counseling that you both went to, or did you seek? Because sometimes I feel like you have to go fix yourself first. Did you go fix yourself first, or did you guys go together? How did you overcome it?
We did both. We did some alone and then some together. And I just feel like giving each other grace helped, and him understanding, like, I'm having an issue here and I can't quite put my finger on it. And usually I'm always so strong. You know, I think I've never had anything happening with me that I couldn't explain, or I've always been the communicator of the, you know, of the couple. So he's like, what's going on with you? You know, what's happening? I don't even know. I just feel shitty. Like, I don't know what's happening. All the time, you know? And we were kind of getting disconnected. So I said, you know what, like we gotta bring this thing back. And I think we took a trip. We had Kingsley, we started making that a point to go, because at that time it was kind of scattered. Like, oh, let's go when we feel like we need it. Then we started doing like once a week. Once we did that, you know, I think we started to kind of get on the same page, and we worked through it. And you know, now we bouncing back. You know, now we looking at
kitty, right? Comes and Robin.
Now we having fun.
What about you guys? Did you guys go, get counseling for postpartum, or did you even suffer with postpartum?
I don't really think I suffered from postpartum, but we did seek counseling to get to our wedding, to get married. You know, because I don't think he was really understanding, you know, really the point of marriage. Honestly, I don't think he understood it. Like, I think he was just like, oh, it's just something to do. Like, you know, you just want a ring and, you know, just to tell your friends. You know, he didn't really understand. And I'm like, you know, I grew up in the church. My parents are married. Like, it meant something to me. And I'm already, you know, dealing with, you know, how I felt about having a baby out of wedlock and all that. Like, that stuff meant stuff to me at the time. You know, I was very, you know, hard on myself about that, you know. So I needed the therapy for that. And then I needed him to understand what marriage meant to me. And I needed help explaining that, you know. And then, like, we went to PAO. That helped us as a couple. That's Pro Athletes Outreach.
It used to be like a Christian conference.
Yeah, for athletes. And that really helped. They actually baptized us 1 year.
Oh my gosh, I did.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I did baptize. That's crazy. My memory
You have been a resource, and you didn't even know.
I know. What do you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that was like right before we got married. So all of those things we definitely needed to get to a point where he understood, like, where, you know, what marriage meant to me. So I think therapy is definitely a resource that every relationship should seek out, you know, just for understanding, if anything, you know. I don't think you always have to be like suffering, you know, but it got to a point where you are not understanding me. Like, I love you. Yes, I'm gonna be here. Yes. You know, like, if he hadn't have, you know, proposed, I would still be here. You know what I'm saying? Probably, like, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm sure I told him, like, now I'm gonna leave, but I love him. You know, I was not going anywhere. You know what I mean? But marriage means something to me.
But that's something that you wanted, so you were willing to sacrifice what you wanted and stay there and just be a.
I mean,
I feel like it because
I don't know. It's like I want to say that I would leave, and I just don't know when that I would get to that point. Then I know I probably wouldn't go nowhere.
But now you're compromised. Basically, you're saying, okay, I'm okay with being a girlfriend. I'm not okay with.
No. What I'm saying is, I know what I want. At the time, had he kept denying me, I probably would have just been there.
Because that's how much you loved him.
Because I loved him. I'm saying I don't know at what point I would have been like, this is enough.
The ultimatum.
Yeah. Trust me, I was giving him I was saying that. I was saying I'm gonna pack my stuff and I'm gonna go. But
sometimes you have to execute.
Have you ever packed up?
Yes.
Have you ever packed up?
Yes, y'all didn't watch the show.
Packed up? I'm done.
But that's the thing. If I'm gonna pack up and leave, I'm packing up and I'm leaving and I'm not coming back.
Packed up and left, never to be heard or seen of again. Like there's been times where it's at the point of no, and it's like, this is not what I'm doing. Like, this is just not it.
But see, the thing is, I feel like, in my relationship, we were good. It's just that he wasn't understanding. Like, Phil is a different creature, first of all. You cannot persuade him to do anything that he doesn't want to do. So I know a creature like that. I know wholeheartedly that he wouldn't have married me unless he wanted to marry me. Yeah. So there was no persuading him. So what I'm saying is, like, me packing up my stuff, like, I was gonna be hurting nobody but myself. We had a great relationship. It was just he was not understanding the marriage part of it because he wasn't raised thinking like this is, how he wanted to live. It wasn't a thing for him. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't as important. It wasn't a priority.
But we weren't having, exactly. Yeah, we weren't having issues. So it was like, why would I walk away from this man who's a great person? He's a great father. Like, why would I do that? Because he doesn't understand how, what marriage means to me. And I know he will at some point. So I couldn't just, give him an ultimatum and be like, well, if you don't want to be married, then I'm just going to leave.
You could have, you just didn't want to. You can say, hey, this is what I want in life. Yeah. It's all about setting boundaries.
I said that, but at the time, that's not what I wanted. I wanted him to understand me, and I wanted to give him the chance to understand it. Just because he wasn't raised like I did, to feel like marriage is what should be going on,
But that's what you believe in. So why are you putting your beliefs aside to accommodate
I don't think I was putting them aside, is what I'm saying. I didn't feel like I was staying in a relationship where we didn't see eye to eye on things. Like, I knew that he was gonna marry me at some point. It was just when. And I was ready to be married before he was.
Because you have some women that stay, oh, he's gonna marry me, and they never get married.
No, but I didn't feel that way about him.
You knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah, I knew it was
gonna
happen.
It to happen sooner.
Yeah, because I had a child. And looking back, I feel stupid for feeling that way. Like, I don't even like that. That was my way of thinking, Mm-hmm. But because of how I was raised, I was like, I have a baby now, so you need to marry me. Yeah.
The stigma.
Yeah, and now looking back, I don't feel that way anymore. I would not go about it in that way anymore.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of ashamed when I had walked out, because I was like, why did I do that? Why did I feel like that was the solution at that time?
Yeah, and I thought it really.
I don't. Well, we have the perfect timing. We have food. Chef, what do we have?
Yes, ma'am. So right now what we have is
saved by the food.
Well, this look good.
We have Parmesan and smoked Gouda risotto, seared scallops, and ribeye steak.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Something a little quick, 5 minutes.
Just a little razzle dazzle.
A little something.
So I hate to keep doing this to you,
yes,
but you're the only male that I can ask questions to based on our topics.
That's perfectly fine.
Do you have a significant other?
I do.
Are you married?
I'm not married, no.
Why aren't you married?
I had to get, personally, myself, I need to get some things mentally right with myself. I needed, so a lot of times this last year, I've been being real honest with myself. And a lot of times, like, I felt I found the one. Personally, I wasn't ready. So before I was just like, oh, she's the one, I'm gonna just end up making it work. But I had to be honest with myself, realizing I wasn't ready.
I love that, you know, self-accounting, you know.
Accountability, self-awareness.
And so what happened is it did cause a lot of friction between us. But mentally, I've gained a lot of control over myself and what I've wanted in life. And we're doing a lot better now. We still have our arguments, it happens. But
Have you gone to counseling?
I pray, I talk to God. And I feel like he's been answering our prayers. Things have been getting a lot better.
Yeah, that's a counselor. That's his first
Yeah,
step,
definitely,
you know?
definitely.
I'm not, no shade there. Yep. Would you be okay if she wanted to go to counseling? If she was like, you know what, I love you, but like we got to go to counseling or I'm out, or would you go?
I would go. I would go. It would just. I would have to get comfortable with it first, if that makes sense. Okay. You know, because my personal thing is just. I just think if you have family members, close ones to talk to, a lot of times counselors are for you to vent, and a lot of times I feel like you find out yourself through venting, and so a lot of times I like to talk to family members, loved ones, and friends that's around me.
But do you think it's good talking to family members about your personal relationship?
I think sometimes, because like I have older siblings, I'm the youngest out of all of them, and they've been through a lot of things that I've been through, so I feel they can help me out a lot. I understand some people don't have that, so counseling is necessary, and I'll definitely be open to doing it.
But sometimes you have those family members that are biased of you, so it's like you talk about your personal relationship, now they looking at your mate sideways when you come to the family reunion because they remember what y'all got over.
Definitely.
Well, I would say Brandon hates that. He hates that. But like that's the type of household I grew up in. Is like we talk about what is going on. Like I have a very small family, but he's like, no. You don't need to talk to anybody because I don't want anybody looking at you or me sideways.
Because they do, eventually.
But I never experienced that in my family. So for me, it's like, I don't understand what you mean. Like, you mean I can't talk to them and tell them like what's happening or whatever? I don't know. That's just. Yeah. Has your girlfriend ever walked out on you when you couldn't get your stuff together?
We've had our moment. I'm not gonna lie. Look,
packed up and left.
I think, in all honesty, she has been a godsend because it's certain things I've done, and I'm just like, why are you still here? But in all honesty, I just think it's.
Yeah, you might need to marry her. You might need to.
Yeah, don't let that one go.
Definitely. It's just more so I got to get my demons sorted out. Yeah.
Look at you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I think, ladies, that is a wrap for this episode. On to the next one.
Yes. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
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 I swear the line was round the corner when she walked right in. High heel, short dress, he should've known right then. He walked over like, you the shorty I should be rocking. She told him, baby, I'm a job, we need to get clocked in. She next level, eyes full of pride, she won't settle. No brakes, so she hit the road, foot to the pedal. No days off, I mean that's often offensive. She like the ball, like the park with the fences. Yeah, so her lifestyle get awfully expensive. She might dismiss it, but it's hard to resist.